Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at Wheel Talk Podcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. The video.
Yep, it's going.
It'd be going.
Live.
And Becca's in the van, so we have all of the things outside the van. Hopefully no trains come by. Usually the train is done by this late, but
Okay.
we'll see.
You're pretty dark over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be a common situation. There we go.
Sweet. Hi, now I can see your face.
Yeah.
Reppin' ClayCon West today.
I am. You know what? I was at the bar earlier. For those of you who don't know, my studio has a brewery in the bottom of it, and it's pretty cool. And we were down there just having a beer, and somebody... So Shelby is the bartender that works on Wednesdays, and Shelby is IT for Amico. And so she does some like IT stuff for Amico and works there full time. And she did say that it's the best job she's ever had. I want to say that's pretty cool. And then I was paying or something, and this lady came across. She's like, "I love your ClayCon West T-shirt," and I was like, "Oh, God, thanks." And she's like, "I work with Shelby." So there was like a whole Amico crew in the bar today.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
You know, you're not helping your case here by telling people on a recent episode that you don't drink that much, and then you're like, I don't, or maybe you said you don't get drunk that much, and then you're like, yeah, I was just in a bar today, and
I don't drink that much. This was my first drink in a week and a half.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. But I will say that I have started drinking a lot more since the bars come in, because I like to support them. You know.
I didn't know it was actually like. So they're not just brewing stuff; they actually have a store, like bar front and stuff.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Is it like connected to a different part of the parking lot, or like there's an exterior door? I thought it was just a big warehouse building. Like I didn't know there was a area that was conducive to having public.
So there is one storefront available space, and that's where they are. It's connected to the warehouse, and their like cooler where they brew everything is in the warehouse, but it has like a little hallway to go back there, and there's a door into the actual studio space that's like locked all the time, but we just press like a little button and it rings the doorbell and they can buzz us in.
Yeah. Has it always been the brewery there, or what other kind of?
No.
Have there been other businesses in there before?
I don't know if anything was in there before, but it became a brewery last year, so it's been just over a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and they're doing really well, you know.
Sweet. Do they have cider there, or is it just beers?
They carry ciders. They don't brew ciders, so they carry ash and elm cider, which you've had, and that's the kind that I sent you home with, like 6.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a local Indiana one?
Mm-hmm. It's down the street. So
okay, cool.
Yeah. So they carry ciders, and they have wine, and then they have beer, and then they have non-alcoholic beer too. So, and they have pop, you know, if somebody doesn't want to drink.
Yeah. But they don't have any like food options there or anything.
No, but you can get a cluster truck here, which is like a food truck that delivers, and Domino's is right down the street, and you can like bring any food in. So
Oh,
Sometimes
little neighborhood joint called Domino's. All right.
Domino's. Sometimes they have like food trucks come, and sometimes they also have a friend that like comes in and uh, like makes food there, like nachos or like coney dogs or stuff like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty great.
Nice.
I like supporting them. I mean, I can't support them a lot, but um, you
Are
know,
there other like businesses or like reasons that people would stumble across there? Are there
no,
people that would walk over from work or whatever? It's just neighborhood, right?
yeah, it's just pretty much neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I guess if people live there, they could walk over. Or...
yeah, yeah. So it's pretty cool. I like it. I mean, like I said, I don't go there all the time, but it is nice to like go there with some of the people from here and just sit and drink like a beer and that's it.
Yeah, hang out
Yeah.
without just hanging out in your studio or whatever.
Yeah. Um so it's nice. But yeah, so the
Sweet.
Amico crowd was there today and I should probably close this door. I don't know if it would matter. Um yeah. Oh, I finished a bunch of fancy cups today. Well, I didn't finish them, but I finished painting them. The first painting.
Yeah. So they're ready for their next firing.
They're in the firing right now.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah. They're in a cone 5 firing right now. They should be done tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have them.
Have you finished any completely with the speedball yet, or these are your first batch?
These are my first.
Okay.
I mean, like, I think I did some solid color ones with the speedball, but that's not really too much of a test.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're sanding the shit out of them, so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that it should be good. I did some fades. These are all rectangles, which is fun. I really like the change of shape. So that's nice.
Was it like. Were you getting very accurate with it so that it's actually like parallel and looks perfect? Or were
Yeah.
you just kind of like a little askew or.
No, they're as good as they're going to get. For sure.
Okay.
For sure. It's a little tough to like on something rounded and something that's not perfectly perpendicular to the to the table, it's tough to get them perfect, especially on the top rim.
Yeah.
But
Because you're going to look right at the rim and be like, is it parallel to the rim or not?
right, and it's usually not because like the way that curves happen, it's just like yeah. So like they're as good as they're gonna get, for sure. But
Okay.
like without me measuring everything.
Yeah.
But
Or you could take one and like shift it a little bit or something.
I do have two that have diagonal. You know.
Yeah, they're not like little windows. They're actually
like slits all the way down. Yeah. So I did some that were solid color, and then I did some that were that have like
the gradient.
the
on
gradient.
Them? Right.
I wanted to like. I know that everybody loves the gradients, but I think that there's something so simple and beautiful about just a solid color of space.
I think it depends on the clay. Like if the clay, you're still using the Dark Star, right? So it's gonna have an extra characteristic.
Yeah. Well, and stuff goes on top of it too. It's not like it's just that, Like there's another
because you're gonna
element.
use the stroking coats.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Did you do any of those like thin lines or anything as well, or is it just the windows?
If I
just
do
the
thin
squares?
lines, I have to do it with stroke and coat because the underglaze doesn't. It'll come off in the sanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. Yeah, I remember you talking about putting underglaze down first and then putting stroke and coat on top.
Yeah, I don't have to do that anymore because I'm firing the stroke and coats to 04 now instead of cone 6. So they don't react any differently. It took me like 2 different times to figure that out, but now I'm good.
Okay.
Because I was getting like really harsh and like sharp lines when I was doing the underglaze and going to 04. So I have to take the underglaze out. Yeah.
Yeah. So why do you take the underglaze firing up to 5 right now instead of going to 04?
Well, I need to get it to I need to get it to cone 5 to vitrify anyway.
Because you've never vitrified it yet, you've only bisque fired it.
Right.
Okay, so this is the highest it's going to go is to that temperature.
Yeah, and then I'll down fire it to 04.
Okay. Sand it and then fire it a third time.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The word down fire just threw me off there.
I'm sorry.
I was like, you're going to slow cool it and
Yeah.
then you're going to do something else at 04 when it gets to that temperature? Like,
yeah.
okay. Okay, cool. You know what I've been experimenting with those decals, right? With the marble decals. And I was throwing something out to Isaac. I was like, the like hoarder I am, the optimizing every single thing I can get. I like cut out the excess and I was like, can I just take these decals and like put them on something and fire it? Because I was thinking about taking like my matte black glaze and putting the decal on top of it because it'll get glossy. And I was like, can I just put these on there? Because it's like a flux sheet.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you can do that. It's cool. Like, just cut them out however you want. I wonder how that would look. So we're going to see how that goes. I wonder if that's something worth trying out. So
That's
would you
so
ever consider doing something like that?
I've never even thought about that.
Do you want me to give you some?
I would love that, yes.
Okay. I'll just give you a few little pieces because I got some and
Yeah, like just some scraps.
yeah, I was like,
how high can you go with that flux?
I don't know, but the temperature that I fire that he give me, he has on his sheet goes to 1652.
016.
It's like cone 010
Oh,
is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's almost a bisque temperature, but yeah. So we'll see. I'm a little worried about like, because you got to slide them off the paper, but you can't. You got to have like enough that you're not just gonna like drop it or like. I mean, it's like yellow, so you can see it.
Yeah.
But I don't want it so small that it's like annoying as hell to dip them in water and like slide them off and stuff. So
Right. You don't need to like get your tweezers out.
yeah, I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna experiment with that and see, because I'm firing the decals in there, and there's only maybe like 6 or 8 at a time. I mean,
Yeah.
I fired the last batch and it was 6 pots, and I'm firing I don't have a small kiln, so
Yeah.
I gotta fire that all the way up, and it's actually going to 010. It's about 6 hours to fire. So I'm like, hey, what if I like experiment with some other pieces and throw some other things in there? So
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So we'll see. And that reminds me, I need to ask Isaac about how much do you think putting a decal on there, how much extra would you charge for a decal?
I think Rebecca charges like $5.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like $5 or $6.
Yeah. I'm not the right person to ask, but I think she does like, $5.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
Now I like
so
my
we'll see.
mind is just like,
Because I was thinking about all this firings you're doing, and I'm like, if you're going to 04, like what? I mean, you probably wouldn't want to go another one, but like, what if you slid the decals on when you're doing the stroking coat, and you could fire it up to 04?
yeah.
But I don't know if it would completely burn out or what. You could probably ask Isaac. That seems a little high for a decal, but I don't know that you'd want to do a fourth firing, would you?
I think it's not the paper as much as it is the color. You know, you're like burning out the color, not the paper, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's true. But maybe the flux has a limit of how it's,
Interesting.
how high it can get. So we'll see. I'll experiment with it. I mean, it'll probably be like 2 months before I experiment with it, but
Yeah.
I got hopes and dreams.
I got a cup to test some shit on. Yeah.
Probably dig some scraps out of the trash, or I'll give you a couple little slits of it that I got.
Yeah. It'd be cool because what I was thinking of would be really cool for that is if you could figure out how to punch holes of it, like circles of it,
Yeah, that's what I was initially thinking. I was like, can I just get a hole puncher and just punch a bunch of circles and then slide circles on?
Right, like
But
you
I
could
want
get
like
like an
different
inch or a
sizes.
half inch hole punch and do it that way because you can do that with tape and then like put the glaze over the tape and then pull the tape off, blah blah blah. But it's really fucking hard to like do that with something that tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's really hard to do that on a rounded surface. So if you did the opposite to it,
Yeah, if you slid the glaze, quote unquote, onto
onto
the
it.
pot. Yeah,
Wow.
because I was like, the clean lines like you have, those lines that you paint. Like, what if you just put that on there? You know?
I know, but you'd have to, I mean, I need to, it would be no color. You have to keep that in mind too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
But that would be kind of interesting. It'd be like, oh, why is that glossy and it's so
right.
clean? How did you get that?
Yeah,
You know?
like a secret line that was the
Yeah.
like an embossed. It's
Especially on the
embossed.
Yeah, especially on the matte surface. I'm like, I mean, that makes the most sense to just do it on matte because
Yeah,
it's gonna pop more. So
for sure. That's
yeah,
wild. Uh,
that was going through my mind recently. We'll see.
I had a show this weekend.
Yeah, how'd that go? You
Well,
did well.
it was a hot mess and it was good all at the same time.
Hot Mess Express. Okay, so what was the show?
The show was Bloomington Handmade Market, and they do two shows. They do one at Christmas time and one at summertime. The Christmas show that I did with them last year was the best show I've ever done. It was like almost $4,000, I think.
And that
And
was like an indoor convention center kind of show,
yeah,
or
yeah,
okay,
like not a convention center, but like small town convention center. And so this one was like on a street. There was a concert later that night that was like at the end of the street, and I was like towards the concert, like towards the stage. There was no music happening while it was going on, which was kind of a bummer. But the Flaming Lips played that night, which if anybody remembers music 10 years ago, um, like yeah. Anyway, so they played, and I didn't hear it, but heard some warm ups, and that was really cool. So it was great.
was
I
there food and stuff by the music too, or
There
there
was
was
there
just
was like a few food trucks, but there was like restaurants up and down this street. So it was like right next to the college that's in the town. So it was
okay? It
no
was in Bloomington.
yeah, no shortage of things to do on this street.
Okay.
And so they closed down the street, got there really early. Setup was fine. Got set up. It was like tent, like no space in between the tents, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And
How many artists?
I don't know, like 120 maybe.
Okay, that's pretty good size.
Yeah. So I was 30. Maybe there was like 100. I don't know. Um, I knew like four people in it. Like Rebecca was in it. My friend Sarah was in it. Deanna was in it. Me, and then I have another friend that sells jewelry. That's from Bloomington, and she said that the last year she did this show, she made $6,000 in one day. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like try to meet those expectations because she also lives in Bloomington and like
Hmm.
has a following, you know. So
Yeah,
I was like, well, that's not gonna
that definitely
happen.
carries some weight. Like,
It carries a lot of weight, and
grain
like,
of salt there with expectations.
yeah. Like she went to school in Bloomington, like the
That's
whole,
where IU is, I'm guessing,
yeah,
right? Okay.
IU, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, I did 1,800 with cash and ish, because we don't know. I don't know exactly how much cash, but so that was good. I sold 9 fancy cups, four small ones, 5 big ones.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is that the most you sold at a show, fancy cup wise?
maybe, potentially.
It seems like a good chunk.
Yeah, Bloomington like has no problem paying for those fancy cups, and I don't know why, but I'm okay with it.
Did
Uh,
you have a lot on display? Because I feel like they're more of a secondary item for you.
I had probably, I think I had probably like 8 big ones, 9 big ones, and maybe 15 small ones.
Okay.
I have a lot of small ones right now. And then I had just some thumb cups that I'm like trying to get rid of. I think I had 14 of those ones. And anyway, teardown was awful. It was awful. It was not that hot. It was like medium hot, but because it was in like downtown, I'm sure that it was a little bit better for other people, but like I had to park my car 2 blocks away in this lot. That's fine, whatever. And like this whole place was like filled up with people. We could have gone 2 more hours easily.
Yeah, because the concert was coming up after, so it's not
Right.
like you can drive your car up onto the street with all this crowd around.
Right. So I was like, okay, I could go get my van and try and find a spot downtown, or I could just cart my shit to my van 2 blocks away, with no traffic. And so that's what I chose. And I'm like going down, and I have Rebecca's cart, which is half the size of my regular cart that I normally would have. And I had all my shelves on it, and I'm trying to get it like all in one go, 1 or 2 goes.
Yep.
And I was like checking it, making sure everything was good. Didn't have a bungee cord, which I should have had, and
Yeah.
fucking all of the bins fell off, and I just like saw the bin with all of the mugs just like flip over.
Because it's not plastic bins with covers. It's like your cucumber boxes and pepper boxes, right?
No, these were plastic bins with covers. So
Oh, did you upgrade?
I did.
You upgrade? Okay.
Yeah.
No more pepper boxes?
No more pepper boxes. They don't fit in the bottom of the van very easily.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Becca is upgrading from the Costco
Well,
boxes.
I upgraded to the hefty boxes with the tall lids because I can fit fancy cups in the bottom and then the small fancy cups in the top. I can get 2 rows in.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, and they're it's great. I can fit my entire jewelry setup in one of them, and then
That's awesome.
all of my bags and stuff in another one. So I only have 3 boxes. And so anyway,
Sweet.
they all fell, and of course the fancy cups were on the very top, and they like
Oh, so they fell the furthest. And...
they fell the furthest, and they flipped over, and I'm just like looking, like I knew it happened. I saw it happen. I tried to catch it. I couldn't catch it, and these people are all freaking out around me, and I'm just like, great.
Fuck. Is it because you had the whole like the crosswalks with the really low curves, and then you go
This
uphill?
this wasn't even until that point. Like I didn't even get to that point. I hadn't
Oh,
even
okay.
gotten that far. And what
Okay.
what sucks
I was
is
expecting
that
you're gonna be rolling down off a curve,
No.
and it just like.
and what sucks is
slides
that I
off.
had checked it. Like I was like stopping frequently, checking to make sure that they were still
Yeah.
on, you know. And so people were like trying to help me, and I was like, it's fine. This is gonna take a minute. Like
Yeah.
it's fine. And so then I decided, because there was a trash can right there, I would go through the cups there instead of like getting it all the way back and like having to throw them away elsewhere.
Somewhere else, yeah.
And so I got 3 fancy cups broke. As far as I know, 3 fancy cups broke, and like 7 of the thumb cups, which I was trying to get rid of them anyway, so it's fine. Keeping in mind at this time, right now I'm currently going through a lot of like emotional abuse in my mind because I just started taking that ADHD medication, and it's causing a lot of fucking mood swings. So like, and never in my life have I ever been an angry person or gotten mad at a human being for like just random shit. I could have slapped like 5 kids in the face that day. Like I was so
God.
fucking pissed the whole day, just like at people for no reason. And then this happens, and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And then this guy walks up to me while I'm like taking shards to the trash, and he goes, "Oh, it looks like you have a bunch of broken pottery." And I was like, Yeah.
No fucking shit, buddy.
I was like, yeah, get the fuck away from me. Like, yes, I do. How could you tell? Like, and I was so fucking mad. Like, I was so mad. And then I had to like cart it all the way to the car. At one point, Rebecca Graves was or Prouse was in front of me. And she couldn't hear me because they were carting stuff, but I just screamed out, I hate pottery. And then didn't realize that there was like some guy right behind me. He probably thinks I'm a fucking weirdo. And then I finally get back and I'm like so irritated, and my friends try to help me like close up the rest of it, which probably made me more mad. And then I am walking the second cart of things back, and I hit a fucking pothole and then just smashed my left ankle on the cart. And so it's all bruised up. And I was just like so fucking done.
Oh, gosh.
It was awful. We were talking about this like 2 days ago, and Ryan was like, would you do it again? And I was like, no.
What would you do if... I want to know, what would you do if that guy followed up his thing with, you should make a mosaic out of that or something?
Oh my fucking goodness. I don't know. I don't know. At that moment, I'd probably been like, you can make a fucking mosaic if you want. Like,
they'll be in the trash. Here you go.
Yeah.
So, question, are you a push the cart or are you a pull the cart?
I'm typically a push the cart. I'm really struggling with this cart that I got from Rebecca. It's the exact same cart that I used to have, but it's like half the size. And I got it and I traded it out essentially for my other cart. And
right.
Part of me really is regretting that decision. I feel like maybe I could figure out a way to fit the big one in here somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you could stand it up somewhere, but I mean, yeah, space is limited, so even if you put it topside down where it's flat and you put stuff on the bottom upside, yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I wonder if
because the wheels would be sticking up. Those are the most obtrusive things
that
it's hard to fit things around.
Got some big ass wheels. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it'd be cool if I could figure out a way to like just quite literally attach it to the door in the back and just like hang it on the door, you know?
Yeah.
Because I would do that. Like, I never really touched the back of the van all that much.
Or like mount it underneath the bed or underneath the tabletop or something.
No, there's not any room.
Yeah.
Under the bed. On the door would be the best place. But yeah, so I'm just like really, I've named the cart Bart the cart, and this stupid fucking cart has it out for me. And the next time I use it, I'll have a bungee cord, so hopefully it won't be that bad. But it doesn't roll as easily as my other cart does. It doesn't pack as much stuff on it as my other cart. You know, you get like, it's one thing going from a small cart to a big cart, but from going to a big cart to a small cart, you really...
Yeah. And then you're used to the, one or two trips, and you don't want to do double the trips, you know?
Right, and the wheels just work better, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the, I don't use a dolly a ton, but when I do, I like the ones with the big rubber wheels.
Yeah.
That are inflated, and then it's got the two kind of bullshit wheels on the front that are plastic or whatever. They don't flex at all. They're like, if you hit a freaking hole in a sidewalk, it's not moving.
Right.
But yeah, I'm generally a push the cart.
Yeah.
Just so I can see what's going on.
For sure. I will say my last thing, and then we're going to get to you because I want to know what's been going on in your life. My last thing is, what was I going to say? Oh, I got into a really big show in Chicago.
Yeah.
On July 22nd and 23rd. That's the Makers Market in Chicago. And then I got into 2 shows in Michigan in August. So that'll be good.
Nice.
So that kind of like breaks up my trip up in the northern Upper Peninsula. So that kind of like, yeah, puts me down into Michigan in the end of August, which is good. Gives me a little bit of money to kind of jumpstart,
Sweet.
hopefully.
Do you know how to do the? Are you gonna have to do the vendor license and all that shit for those states? I'm guessing you will, right?
I don't know.
Transient vendor license.
I have no.
You should look. You should look that up.
I have no idea.
That should be good. Yeah, you weren't expecting to be doing those, so.
Yeah, Deanna made me take really good photos, and I put them in, and good to go.
Got some results. Look at that.
Yeah, but I just paid like $800 in booth fees in the last like 2 days, so that sucks.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, the one in Chicago is $400.
I'm guessing that's a 2-day?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know somebody else that does it? Is that why you applied for that one?
I know somebody else that does it, and she like makes like $6,000 every single time she goes. So.
Is she local to Chicago?
No.
Okay, that's good.
She's local here, and she makes like pottery.
Okay.
She makes
Nice.
like pottery, but yeah, I think it'll be good. I've heard they're good.
Sweet.
Yeah. So tell me about your life this week.
All right. What's new? We got the Biker Craft Show coming up this weekend. That should be good. Been anticipating that. I always get nervous about that. Like, I should be less nervous because a lot of the artists that are selling in it are new artists. We have about 6 returning, 6 new, or 7 returning, 6 new, or something like that. And I don't know, because I'm hosting it, I'm like, okay, it's got to be great. It's got to be good for everybody. And then I'm like, hopefully the weather holds out and hopefully everybody's happy. But I think it's a good, like, show for people that don't do a lot of shows. It's a,
Yeah.
Get people in the rhythm of doing art shows for the first time or first few times. And the booth fees, like, the booth fee's affordable, so maybe I shouldn't feel that bad about it. And it's good amenities and stuff like that for the artists. So it's good. It kind of runs itself now that Rachel's been helping me with it.
Yeah.
So, and then my parents have, put the signs out and Facebook ads have been running. So I always feel like when you're doing stuff that you have planned for, it's like, okay, is there something else that I'm forgetting that we need to do, or you feel like you need to do more because everything runs so smoothly? So yeah, that's happening this weekend. Then we'll be going on vacation to Detroit and Cleveland next week. So looking forward to that. This week at work has been like, I felt very unproductive. Like I don't feel like doing shit.
Yeah.
So that's been a little weird, but I don't know. I just don't feel
it's like
doing
senioritis,
anything.
but
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's because of the vacation coming up. Because it seems like sometimes I'd be like working until I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I resolve these 2 or 3 things before I leave so that other people are in a good spot. But
yeah.
I think I just got done with this like bigger thing I've been working on for the past like 2 months, and I got to like a settling period where like nothing is super urgent right now, so I'm not really pushing it. So I don't know. Yeah, it feels a little senioritis-y. I don't know. And then like the days go by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have meetings in the morning and then you're kind of like around lunchtime, and then like maybe I get an hour or two, and then I walk up to the post office, and then I walk around the neighborhood a little bit. Like that's another 45 minutes, and then I eat lunch. That's another 30-40 minutes. And then it's like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and I'm like, 2 hours left? Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
And then I'm like, I don't really get much done because I only have like 2 or 3 hours of work to actually do stuff. But I don't know.
Tell us about the bird.
The bird. Oh, the fucking bird. Okay, so there's this. I found out what it was. Okay, so I still walk to the post office like every day. And I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago now. I was walking with my packages and stuff, and I live at the end of a street, so I go to the stop sign and then I turn right and I go to the post office. And right at the stop sign, there's a tree. There's a few trees there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there was a bird's nest in that tree because the first day that I think it was Saturday, I was walking, and then I like felt something on my head, and then I like look back, and there's a bird that's coming back at me, and then I get hit again, and then I like run off a little bit, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And then I go back. So I was trying to like research what it was or what was going on, and then I go back the next day or Monday. I think it was Monday, and then I'm like, okay, I'm kind of on the lookout a little bit, and then Rachel goes with me that day because we were walking together. She wanted to walk too, and then I had my bag with me. I was on the lookout because I knew it happened the day before, and I'm like, okay, I kind of do some research. You share the story, and then people are like, oh yeah, it's probably like a nest. They're probably protecting their babies or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's common, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, I know where it's at. I'm looking for it. I'm on guard, and then we walk past it toward the post office, and then it comes down, and it kind of comes right behind Rachel's head. And I'm like, Rachel, it's right there. And then I'm like, keep going. And then we like run out of the way. And then we're on our way back, and I'm like, okay, this thing is like posted up. It was on the stop sign, like watching, like waiting. Um, it turns out it was a mockingbird.
Oh.
From what I was looking up, that they're pretty territorial and they tend to do that with the dive bombing people. Um, so we saw it. Rachel went first. It like did chase after her a little bit. It like got her slightly, like came up right behind her. Sometimes it just kind of like hover. It like comes behind you and just kind of hovers. It doesn't necessarily like hit you if you're like moving pretty good. It'll just kind of like stick around you. And then I did it, and Rachel got it on video. And I just took the bag. It's like one of those TJ Maxx bags, so it's
Yeah.
like got some heft to it, and it's folded up. So it started flying toward me, and I could see it coming right at me. And then I like kind of hit it with the bag slightly and like deflected it off. So that was pretty good. And then I was walking today. I did not see it, so I didn't hear anything. I was looking,
Maybe
did
the
not see the
babies have
bird.
been born.
So maybe they're born and they're out of the nest and onward. So we'll see tomorrow. I'm gonna walk up there tomorrow too. That was quite the experience the last few days. And then when I was walking back today, I was like looking back and everything, and then my neighbor drove by, and he was like said something to me out the window, and he was like, "Hey, are you was that bird you looking after that bird? Did that bird dive bomb you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been doing that the last few days." And he was like, "Yeah, I walked up there the other day, and it got me a couple times."
Oh. I feel like this
So
bird needs a name and a Facebook page.
yeah. And then I was like researching videos of birds dive bombing people, and there was one where it was like outside an office building right by the parking lot, and people would come out and they just had video like tapes of people getting pummeled with this bird.
Well, you know,
Like
Aletha Bean Pottery, her mom has a nest outside her front porch, and the bird dive bombs Aletha.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean you have to go through. I mean, I guess you can go around the back door or whatever, but
Yeah.
like that the street, I can't go another way. I have to go at the end. I mean, I could drive up there, I guess, to
Yeah, but
drop the
there's
packages.
it's a one way. There's one way in, one way out. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
So I just kind of got on the other side of the street and tried to do
Yeah.
my best to stay away from that tree.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was quite an exciting few days. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on over here. I don't think there's anything else major. I didn't have any shows this weekend. There was a few folks that did a show at the off market that I knew, but it seemed like it was a pretty meh show, like not that great. So I'm glad I didn't do it. That was one that I looked, because usually I'm like, okay, open weekends. It was a little weird not having anything over the weekend, but it was nice not having to do that. Take a weekend off.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Do we want to move onward? We've
Onward
got
and upward.
some questions. Actually, let's do bring back a what would you do if. Okay. What would you do if all the pots or we're talking about pots here. All the pots you shipped out for a restock broke.
Oh man. All of them? Like to every like
What if we just said a high majority of the pots?
I just give back their money.
Just refund it, yeah.
I just
Yeah,
refund
that's
the
what I was
money.
thinking. Yeah, I was like, ugh. I was that's the kind of thing that like worries me. It pre-orders have kind of worried me that way, where
Mm-hmm.
you take money up front with the promise of something to be delivered later,
Right.
and the time like timelines. I feel guilty about not meeting timelines. So I would definitely just cut my losses and just refund the money.
Yeah.
I know some people can't do that; they can't afford to do that, but I mean, it's going to come out of your money in the end, anyways, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
spending time doing something and spending more material for, in probably the next few weeks, and then like how happy in it are you going to be doing all that work to for something that's already been paid for,
Right.
and then you're going to have to spend money to ship it out, right?
Yeah. Wild.
It's probably just way cheaper to just refund it.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Okay.
All right.
That was easy.
Next one. This is a fun little question. Chocolate bar or candy bar? What do you say? This is Green Cabin Pottery.
Green Cabin. Candy bar.
I say candy bar. Now, when I saw this, I thought it was like, would you rather have a chocolate bar or a candy bar? And I don't know. I decided that candy bars were like fruity bars. But would you rather have chocolate candy or fruity candy, Ryan?
I'd rather have fruity candy. I'm sweet tooth all day.
I would also rather have fruity candy.
I mean, there are some. Are there like chocolate bars that would rival it if they were like chilled? If you can get like a cold chocolate bar
Reese's.
Reese's cup
Reese's cup.
or like
And
Reese's eggs or something like that.
I like the cups. I just like Reese's cups. Well, actually, Aldi has the peanut butter
off-brand
cups.
ones?
The off-brand peanut butter cups are so fucking good. Reese's. I like chocolate bars, like chocolate candy bars.
Yeah.
For the most part, I mean, like I love frozen Twix. Fuck yeah,
Frozen?
frozen Twix. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't had Twix in a while. I always like the cold Heath bars are one of my favorite candy bars. Heath or I mean technically Score is probably my favorite. SKOR. It's instead of English toffee, it's butter toffee.
Yeah.
Did you ever have one of those? I feel like we talked about
I
this
don't think
before,
I've ever
but-
had a Score bar. I know what
Do
they
you
are
like Heath
though.
bars?
So I had never had a Heath bar. I've never actually had a Heath bar, I don't think. But I didn't have anything Heath until I met your family.
Okay, yeah, my mom loves them.
Yeah, like until we had like Heath dilly bars, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And now I always get like a half Heath, half cookie dough blizzard.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely a Heath Blizzard.
Heath
Nowadays. I
blizzards
used to
are
be
so fucking good.
Used to be an Oreo Blizzard. Now, do you like when they? I think they've done this in the last handful of years. Maybe they've been doing this a lot longer, but they started putting chocolate syrup in there. Do you like that? Do you remember when they didn't do that? Because I do.
So I don't remember when they didn't do that because I've always done cookie dough. I've always had
But it always had some chocolate, some liquid chocolate in there.
I don't know. I've always done a cookie dough blizzard, but before that, I always did nerd blizzards. When that
Really?
Yeah, so back in the back days, back in the way days, back in like
The back days. I like
back
that.
days.
Not the old days. The
The
back
back
days.
days. Probably before 2000. Um, they had nerd blizzards, and they were beautiful. And that was my go-to. Teeth breakers. Tooth
Yeah. Talking about
breakers.
frozen dessert, like
Yeah.
frozen nerds, like.
Tooth breakers. And so I would always get a nerd blizzard. And then for a long time, I wouldn't even get blizzards. I'd just get cones.
I used to get dip cones when I was a kid.
I love a good dip cone.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if Lloyd... I'm going to close my van. So you do the next question while I mute my thing.
All right. That resolves our chocolate bar candy bar. Dealio. Thank you, Green Cabin Pottery. All right. The next question comes from Sarah Crowley Ceramics, and it reads, what are the best bats for making plates? Not plastic, but just don't want something that warps. So
We had a little chat about this before.
yeah, so best bats for making plates, not plastic, but just don't want something that warps. So I don't know. Do you think that means plastic's off the table? They don't want plastic?
They don't want plastic. That's
Okay.
why it says not plastic.
Well, yeah.
I have I have like a complicated answer because I like the masonite bats, but they do warp like a little
Yeah.
bit, and I just turn them over when they do.
Yeah. So what causes the warping?
Uh,
Is it a
the,
user error? Is it a mishandling of the bats and not
not
treating them
necessarily
properly?
not necessarily. When you're making plates, there's a lot of moisture all over the bat, so it kind of like warps with the plate, you know.
Oh, so they're not talking about long-term warping. They're just talking about warping during the making process that will give you issues.
I think so. And I mean, like, yeah, like the way that masonite bats warp is they like mountain. They don't like warp angularly. They
Mm-hmm.
have like that. The middle is higher than the outside, or the outside is.
I thought it was the opposite. I thought the edges kind of rise up because it's kind of closing itself off.
Turn it
sort
over,
of.
Ryan, and what happens? Turn the bat over.
Yeah.
Then the
So
middle is higher than the outside.
Right.
So we're talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's warping from the moisture on the top, not from the.
Yeah, but then you just turn it over, and then it's
Right.
higher on the inside than it is on the outside. So, yeah, I like mason bats, but you made a good point when we were talking about this earlier. Plaster bats, and those are very easy to make.
I've never made one. Like, how would you do? What's the easiest way you would tell people to make those? And are they going on top of bat pins or
No,
just making them and putting them on top of clay patties?
you don't even have to put them on clay patties. Like if you can take your bat pins out, you can just seal them to the wheel head with water.
Really?
Yeah.
Water on top of metal and it's going to suction it to the wheel head?
Yep.
How is that? That doesn't seem like that would.
I don't know the science behind it, but I used to do it in college all the time. So, but yeah, I mean, you could do it with clay too. I've always just used water. I think that I'd probably just use the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket.
Okay. And then the bottom side that was in the bucket that's molding the bottom of the bucket would be the bottom of your bat because the top's going to be flatter.
It depends. I mean, you could do either.
Well,
Because
gotta
if you're
shave it
going
down
to
a
trim
little
it,
bit,
if
or-
you're going to trim it, it doesn't really matter, right?
Okay. So you got to pop it out and then you got to trim it down to.
Yeah.
You'd probably want to trim it down so you could use both sides of it, maybe, right?
I was talking about the plate. If you're going to trim the plate, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, I thought you meant trimming the plaster bat.
Yeah, don't trim the plaster bat. But I mean, like, I'm sure you could find some circular item that is smooth on the bottom, like a Rubbermaid or I don't know, something.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
So plaster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. And then the only other thing I mentioned was like tiles.
Tiles.
I have a. I have something that the person I got my new, quote unquote, newest used wheel from, he
Which
was
is the
doing
one
pottery
that
for
I
like
broke.
30 years. The one that broke, yeah. He made his own bat system and he had tiles. So he had square tiles for like a smaller bat, and then he had hexagonal tiles.
Yeah.
They're probably about 8 inches. So you could use something like that. That, you know, is not going to warp.
Right.
But it's also going to be very stiff.
So, also, like, it depends on if you're cutting off or not cutting off, because if you're cutting off, then it doesn't really matter what bat you're using, really. If you're
Yeah,
not.
that's why I like the speedball bats. Because
Yeah.
it's going to be. I still cut them off. I don't like because you can sometimes see the ridges from the underside, because the way the plastic is molded, like you can
Yeah.
still see the remnants if you just left it there and just let it pop off. But depends on how much you're trimming it.
Right, and if you are just looking for a bat that you're just gonna like let pop off, you need to make sure that your edge between the bat and the clay is a sharp line, so there's no like skirt. You need to like I use a butter knife. You could use whatever, but like you could use a sharp rib or a wooden tool or anything like that, just to mark that clay so that it's popping off evenly, and it's not like holding on to the bat. It's got a place for it to like release.
Yeah.
Did that make sense verbally?
Yeah, because I'm thinking back to like spoon rests that will suction back to it, because they go outward, and then you get that piece of clay that like kind of goes outward, and then it's got that little crack.
Yeah.
On the bottom edge, because it's shrinking on the outside edge, and then it's still stuck, so it like breaks.
Yeah. So just make sure that if you aren't cutting off, that you have a sharp line between your clay and your bat. Yeah.
Yeah. One other thing that I've learned to help with some pieces is I like to use a little bit thicker of a wire when I cut it, if you do cut it. Like, I've used the very thin Dirty Girl ones, and those tend to create more like sticking.
Yeah.
So I like to use a little thicker of a wire, so it gets a little bit more space underneath. Maybe it allows it to, the clay patties stay separate from the bottom of the pot, and then they can kind of like separate easier.
When do you cut it?
I cut it right after I throw it.
Okay.
Immediately after I throw it.
Also, another option that I forgot about is tar paper. A lot of people use tar paper for plates.
Oh, they throw it on tar paper.
Yeah, they throw it on tar paper. Now, I don't really know how to get the tar paper to attach. Like, ideally, you'd put the tar paper, like, on a bat and have it be attached.
I saw some video yesterday, actually.
Oh, with the foam, and they, like, tucked it under?
They wrapped it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Like, there was a video of somebody, and they put holes on the foam that they were using, because they were using the foam just like tar paper, and wrapped it under the bat so it, like, stayed put.
Yeah. So they still put it on the bat pins, but that you said it's some foam? What kind of foam was it?
It was just like really thin foam.
Okay.
Like that.
Seems like it.
Like that foam that's the squishy foam, like that they make little letters out of, that kind of foam.
Not like, I'm thinking like packing foam, but.
No, like really dense foam.
Okay.
Like rubber almost.
Okay.
But tar paper would work better than that. Tons of people use tar paper as bats. And then...
And is that because it doesn't absorb as much moisture? Or is that the thing where you were talking about that it... Or maybe somebody said Tyvek. I think Tim said Tyvek recently. He's rolling slabs out on Tyvek.
Right, you can do it on Tyvek too. Tar paper you can buy in the hardware store, and you can cut it, and then it basically, once it's like leather hard, you can just peel back the tar paper, and it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just like flip the pot onto another bat and then
Yeah,
like peel it
peel it
off.
off. That's what that guy that does those.
Mike Serve Pottery.
Yes, he
He
does the
does
templates.
I got one of his cups. Yeah.
Yeah, he does the templates, and then he like pushes it all together. He uses tar paper as his templates.
Mhm.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, so tar paper is an option as well. You just have to figure out how to attach said tar paper to a bat somehow. There's gotta be
then
a
you
way.
then you could put it on. I mean, yeah.
Then you could put it on anything and then just like kind of like scoot it off.
Yeah, I mean that would be great. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to.
Scoot it off when it's.
You wouldn't want to
wet.
scoot off immediately. Yeah, I was thinking if you just use that as kind of like your getting started, and then when you're done, you just slide it off.
I mean, you
onto a
could.
board.
You could. There's people that have made plates, cut them off, and moved them. Like.
Yeah. Like the water, they slide it off on the water off the bat. That just seems like, why would you ever?
I don't know.
That seems like an old school way of being like, I am not using bats. Bats are for weaklings.
I feel like this whole episode now I'm just going to be thinking about how to attach tar paper to a bat efficiently.
Does it rip? Could you do the folding thing underneath the...
I think you could. I think it's a little bit like thicker than that, but like there's just got to be some way to like attach it, like almost like Velcro it, you know, to the bat.
Yeah. Huh.
All
right, should we move on to the next question?
We should.
Or do we need to talk about something first?
Oh, we should probably talk about something.
What do we need to talk about, Becca?
Well, we are going to talk about this little thing called an L&L kiln.
The L&L kilns.
The L&L kilns. Hotkilns.com.
Yes. It's always nice seeing... you ever see those videos from Clay King when people order and then they're like... They're shipping out all these kilns and stuff?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So, newest kilns, if you're getting a new L&L, you can choose to upgrade that controller if you'd like. If you don't want the old school Dynatrol, which is very reliable, you can use that kind of very similar to your typical ones with the, the preset slow bisque, fast bisque, slow glaze, fast glaze, whatever. Or you can get the upgraded Genesis for free. That's got the touchscreen, the Wi-Fi connection, saves your firings if you do custom ones, so you can just be like, I want to do the Becca bisque or whatever, or
if you're doing like if you're gonna do crystalline glazes, like I saw that Andrew Kruger has one of the L&Ls with the Genesis controller on it, and I'm sure that helps with like, I don't know, he's like super scientific and
yeah,
does like
I always get paranoid that I'm gonna like fat finger it, and when I hit start I'm gonna mess something up.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes I will go back and like review program, but I would feel like I would be less likely to mess it up if I'm just picking a preset.
I review program every single time.
Oh really?
Every time. But with the Genesis, it's actually really nice. Having had a Genesis, you can actually like see the program on your phone too. It's not like super high tech because we are, after all, the clay community. But you can like see the temperature that it's crawling and like the how it's going to go, like what your program looks like.
I would imagine it's pretty nice to be able to see how long the firing's estimated to be.
Ugh,
I would think.
so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be able to slim down my kiln log when we get to that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and also what's really, really nice about it is like when you have to input a program. Oh my god. Like, you know, when you have to like input a program on the regular Dynatrol, you have to like go through all the things like the hold and the
How many
temperature.
segments?
Yeah,
What's
and
the temp to what temp?
right, and
Hold what? Next segment? Yeah.
On the Genesis all you do is push the one that you want to change. And it's so nice cuz you don't have to like go through the whole thing, and in the Dynatrol if you mess up once, you're fucked. So like it's nice to
Yeah, you got to reset back and then review program and be like, okay, is it the same? You know.
yeah.
That is nice being able to just look at it all at once.
Oh, for sure.
I wonder if as you do that, it changes the estimated firing time, like immediately as you're changing it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll have to look at that when I get my new one installed.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
for sure. I'm like 50-50 on the old school controller versus the Genesis. Like I think that if I had the money to do it, or if it was an option for free, I would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Sweet.
Where do you get that?
Hotkilns.com.
Hot kilns.
Hotkilns.
I had the like Jim Gaffigan Hot Pocket in my back of my head.
Hot Pocket. Ah, love it.
All right. Next question, which will go into our topic for today.
Yeah.
1 hour in.
Because, you know,
Why not?
it's fine. Do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
I'll read it.
Okay.
I think you read the other ones. Or I read the last one. Okay, so it says, "Hey y'all, another possible question for the podcast. Have y'all ever done a mug club or pot club? I've been thinking of trying one next year. A subscription model where members would receive a new pot once a quarter, and they'd be exclusively new work only for members. Problem is, I don't know how to sell it to people or logistically how to set it up. Pay all at once or once a quarter when the pot ships. And then parentheses, $200 once or $50 four times. What would make customers even want to sign up? Thanks as always. Also, I just left a long ass review for the pod because the Snooze Fest review really pissed me off. Y'all are the best. Audrey, the Pottery Mason."
Yay.
I forgot that last part was on there. That was funny when I got All right, thanks for the question, Audrey.
Yeah.
All right, Becca, have you ever done a mug club or pot club?
So I feel like I've
You
never
should-
done a subscription mug club like what they're talking about here. I have done mug clubs for breweries, where you like make 150 mugs for the brewery and like number the bottom. Oh man, that was a really big yawn. Number the bottom, and then like, you know, they have to be 20 ounces, blah blah blah. I've done like 5 of those, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they're awful.
How are those typically structured price-wise? And like, this is a good, because I feel like some people can relate to this part separate from the subscription, so I want to kind of
Right, so we're going to talk about both. So the mug club, like a brewery mug club, would be typically you're selling the mug to the brewery, and then the brewery is selling the mug to the customer. But they're not really selling, well, they're selling the mug, maybe, or maybe the placeholder of the mug. So, like, the benefit to a mug club where, you know, you're in a brewery is that maybe the mug is 20 ounces and typically their pours are 16 ounces. So you buy a mug club for $75 a year and your mug hangs on the wall. And when you go in, you say, hey, my name's Becca. I'm number 45. And you get number 45. It's a 20-ounce mug. You get a 20-ounce pour for the same price as a 16-ounce pour. And that's kind of like the benefit. If you're a cool brewery, you give the mug to the customer at the end of the year, and then they do a whole new mug club the next year, and the customers buy their mugs again. I've done mug clubs where I made the mugs, the customers all painted them, which was awesome. Like,
Did you go in there when they were painting them? Did you do like a little tutorial, like here's how you would do this?
Yeah. We had a paint your own pottery night at the brewery, and it was a fucking shit show. And it was awesome and awful all at the same time. And
oh my gosh, was it like 100 or so, or was it more than that?
Yeah, it was 100 and something. And not everybody showed up. Yeah, not everybody showed up to paint their mugs, but the people that did, it was great. And they were already like boozed up, so they were already.
Oh my god.
Like it was awesome.
I would not want that as a customer. I feel like having to look at the same mug that you painted for the whole year would be the worst.
They were so proud.
But were they? Oh, okay, they were happy about it.
They were so proud.
I just get so stuck when I'm just looking at a blank canvas like that, and I'm like, all right, we're painting our own. I'm like, what the fuck do I do?
No, they were so proud. And then all the extras, I just glazed.
Okay.
And typically mug clubs, like for breweries, they have a badge on them with the logo. If you can get away with it, doing a decal is way better. But yeah, I have never had a mug club that didn't have some catastrophe involved.
Is it like what are the risks there? Is it the communication about the specifications of the mug that are like that's a factor, as well as the breakage and
that?
Like,
but I'm just
colors, or like what's the
like colors are a thing,
timelines
and sizes are a thing. Like if you are gonna do a mug club for a brewery, try to make them as straight walled as you can. Because if you do that, then you have a much better chance of having them being consistent in size. So if they're not straight walled, if they have a belly, or if they're curved out, then they are always going to be a different size.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, like,
you can standardize this. You can measure that even with a ruler to expect it's going to be pretty consistent.
Right. Like, yes, if you're a really good potter, you're going to get them pretty consistent if it's a weird shape. But, like, my first mug club, oh, my God, that was awful. I had some that were, like, 40 ounces or 30 ounces, and some were 20 ounces. And, like...
Oh, my God. That's a big variation, yeah.
They were so awful. And, like, thankfully, I had brewers that were, like, super low maintenance and, like, didn't give a fuck. And so they were like, meh, Jimmy's got 30 ounces and Terry's got 20. Sucks for them. Like, they didn't care. So, I would say if you can, if you have a contract, try to get them to give the mug to the customer at the end of the year. And if that's the goal, if that's like...
Why would they not do that? Have you had mug clubs that don't do that?
So it was either my first or my second mug club. Blewett Brewery in Leavenworth. It was owned by one person, and it was under the impression that they bought the mug and then they would give the mug to you at the end of the year. And then
to you as a customer, or you as the
customer
potter?
that bought the mug would get the mug at the end of the year.
Right.
Because they were all different. They were all numbered. It was really cool. And then it switched owners, or that owner got kicked out halfway through. And then they were like, oh, no, we're not giving the mugs to anybody. And so what ended up happening was the mug club,
picketed?
No.
They went on strike? They were like, we're not buying beer. We want our mug.
No, the mug club members would go in, act like nothing was happening, and then just take the mug.
Oh,
They were like,
Like
peace
near the end
out.
of the year, they would just slowly take the mug.
Oh yeah, they had like 30 mugs stolen. And I
How did
was
they, I mean, how do they break the news to the customer? Because the customer's assuming they're gonna get it, right? And then they'd be
right.
like,
They were
"Oh,
just like,
sorry,
"Oh,
you're."
nope, you don't get any." And it was like I was part of that mug club. Like I bought into the mug club because I was in Leavenworth all the time. And I
Yeah,
went in and I was like, "I want my fucking mug."
yeah.
And
What are you gonna do with 100 or 150 mugs at the end of the year?
no, they
You
were
just gonna
just going
leave
to
them hanging out?
recycle them. They were just going to like resell the mugs and like you could just never have it. It was just always
Oh
on the
my
wall.
god. Oh, yeah. That sounds like a cheap way to not. Yeah.
Right. And I went in and I was like, bro, I'm the potter. Like, I literally made these mugs and I need this mug just in case you guys have to order another one. Like,
As a template, sort of to.
yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm taking this mug. so, but yeah, so that happened. So if that is so if they say they're gonna give the mugs out, have a contract saying that that's gonna
Why do you
happen,
care as the potter whether they give the mugs out or not?
because then you get more work at the next year
That's true.
when they do
Okay.
another mug club.
Assuming you want the work again.
Right. Let's talk about the disasters that I've had during mug clubs. My last one, I was having an issue with my clay and 60 handles broke.
Oh my gosh.
I had to throw
That
away
sounds
60
horrible.
mugs.
Fuck. They broke at greenware or bisqueware
Yeah, they were
or
in
what?
greenware. They
Okay,
like
that's not too bad.
it was like the
At least you can recycle it.
yeah, it was the connection point. It was awful.
I think I remember that. I thought it was the handle. I thought the handle like broke at the apex of the. I thought it like separated or something. Or was that just some separate mugs that you were working on? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
they broke at the curve, right? They broke at the curve.
Yeah. You had it like it separated at the curve, and there was just a gap there.
Yeah, they broke like in half. Like the handles like broke in half. And it was the clay. Like I remember I went to your house in the middle of it and I did my own handle, like the same type of handle that I was doing with everything and with your clay, and it was fine. It was the
Right.
clay.
You were like, was I rushing it too much?
Right.
Like what's going on here?
Like that was a time in my life that I was on the phone with Josh Heim all the time. And like he went through that whole journey with me and he was baffled. He was like, "What the fuck is happening?" I was like, "I don't know." So, anyway, I'm fully convinced that always mug clubs are cursed. But does that mean if somebody said, "Hey, do you want to do 175 mugs? I'll pay you $30 a mug?" I would say yes. Because how could you not? So,
I mean, that's a good chunk. What's the typical timeline for that? That you're on. I mean, typically it's a beginning of the year purchase, so
well, it's not necessarily a beginning of the year purchase. It's just whenever they start. And then it renews the same day the next year. I would say like 2
but I
months.
thought it was like you have 2 months to get 175 made.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're not making just 175 or you're saying 175 for 150 total delivered, sort of thing.
I think the 170. Well, let's just say they needed 175 total. You'd probably make like 185.
Okay. What about the What about that straight? When you were talking about the straight sides, I thought you were going to be talking about the badge attachment.
No, the
But-
badge attachment. Everybody's that's done badges knows the issues with badges.
I've never done badges in my life.
They're
but
awful.
I would assume it's just you got to make sure that the slab is not too thick, and also joining it at the right moisture level. That's and like plasticking it overnight.
Yeah, and making sure they're completely dry by the time that you put them in your kiln. Making sure that you're not doing too fast of a firing bisquing it. Making sure that the badge doesn't bend a certain way before you put it on. Making sure that there's not too much moisture between the badge when you put it on. Making sure that there's enough texture when you put it on. Making sure that your badge doesn't get fucking smudged when you put it on. Making sure that, like, the stamp is right. It's like, oh,
Making sure
badges.
it's centered. Do you? Yeah.
Making sure it's upright. Like, awful.
Ugh.
Awful.
The only things I've done with stamps have been the Appalachian Festival, and I stamped it directly onto the mug.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's limitations with that because you're glazing the whole thing. And I did the black underglaze wash in them at Bisque and wiped it, and you pick a glaze that's very tailored to that mug so that it will show through. Obviously, I've had some issues. And then I was like, when I do this next time, am I going to try to wax over that area so it's just raw clay?
Right.
I might do that in the future.
I've
then
done
you're
the
like,
waxing where it's just raw clay. Honestly, I don't hate it.
I just like the look of it stamped directly on the mug. I think it looks better.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just because I'm avoiding the badge because I don't like the badge look.
If you can avoid the badge as long as you can, do it. That's why I say just do fucking decals. Just do decals on glaze.
Yeah, I mean, decals, you could just fucking pile up those bad boys.
Ugh.
Then you're not worried about the drying.
You know what's worse is that I've done decals on badges.
Really?
I have.
So you just put a badge slab on there and then you just glaze it and decal it?
Yes, and that was so much easier than doing it with a, like with an actual stamp. But it was still like a process,
What's the point of the badge in that? Is it just to draw attention to it more?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about the stamp for the numbers and stuff? Did you stamp numbers? Did you decal numbers? Did you
Oh, God.
underglaze numbers? Like, how did you do that?
I'm pretty sure we decaled numbers for one of them on the base. I've stamped.
So, like, down by the handle or something?
Yeah, I've never stamped.
Or on the bottom?
I've never stamped into wet clay. I've only stamped with, like, underglaze.
Okay, onto bisqueware or something, or greenware. That seems like a pretty good option. The stamp, the black potter's pad sort of thing.
Honestly, though, if it's only going to be used for a year, I would honestly stamp it with just, like after it got out of the kiln. Like,
oh my gosh.
No, but for reals, though, like...
Stamp it with what?
Just a fucking rubber
just regular
stamp pad.
ink?
Yes. Like, and then...
Because the problem could be you could break something, right? And then you got to remake number 65 again, or whatever.
Yes, it's awful. And, like, if you did it with just, like, archival ink, and you could even, if you were really worried about it, you could bake it in an oven, do the whole bake on ceramics. Those last like a really, really long time, especially on raw clay. And I think I would just do it that way.
So stamp it on the raw clay after glaze firing.
Like fully done. Yeah.
Yeah. And
if I were to do it again,
bake it on.
That's what I would do.
Okay. And you just use regular ink.
Yeah. I've written people's names on the bottom of cups. That was awful. Never doing that again.
Ooh. So you have to so they have to pay for it in advance and have names with number, or maybe you don't do numbers if they do names?
Yep. Nope. They have names with numbers and they let their people choose their numbers. It was awful.
Fuck. That sounds terrible.
I'm telling you, mug clubs are cursed. If you give the brewer too much power, you're screwed. If you give yourself too much power, you're screwed.
What's your ideal? If they said, we want 150, you do it however you want. What is your trifecta? What's your best case scenario?
Straight walled, straight cylinder mug. Strap handle that's not a pulled handle, but an extruded handle.
Do they ever do tumblers?
Yes.
Are there places that do tumblers
Some people
like a
do
pint?
tumblers, but tumblers don't really make sense because you can't hang them. And hanging them saves space. So, yeah,
That's
if
true.
you could do tumblers, that would obviously be ideal. But, we're talking about mugs here. So,
strap handle.
Strap handle. that you don't have to pull, and it's extruded. Um, the fucking brewery numbers them.
They number them. Okay. So
And
that you just
decals.
deliver them
Decals.
with decals and then they number them somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe they have numbers on the wall or something.
Yes.
But how would they? I guess if they wash it, they don't know what spot
Or
it goes back
they
on.
like have their own stamp pad and they stamp them on the bottom, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Also, I have a fun fact. We should probably wrap this up and then go to the actual question, but I have a fun fact about beer and mugs. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so I'm actually talking to somebody who has a mug club, and I'm just making 10 mugs for them. Supposedly, and, unless she doesn't like my shit, and then I'm not. But but she asked me if I had ever had an issue with beer being foamy in the mugs, like super super foamy. And I was like, I've never heard of that. No. And then I asked my buddy Ryan, who's the brewer here at Kismetic, and I was like,
Right.
why would she have asked that? And he goes, well, so there's obviously carbonation in beer, the CO2, and you need almost a mirror-like finish, like no imperfections, in order for that, in order for it not to get super foamy. Okay, so
Because the way the pour goes down the side walls and stuff like that. Is that what you mean?
Yes and no. So obviously that matters, like how you pour the beer, but also CO2, if it hits something that's like, let's say you had a matte glaze that had pinholes in it, or let's say you had a shiny glaze that had pinholes in it. So if you had a shiny glaze that had pinholes in it, the CO2 is going to hit that pinhole and it's going to burst. I'm not being super scientific on this because he explained it to me a while ago. So it's going to like burst, and that's going to cause more foaming. So if you are ever making a mug for a mug club, for a brewery, you need to make sure that your interior glazes are shiny as fuck. And you need to make sure that your interior walls are not ridged. Like pretty smooth, not like, you know.
When you say shiny, you just mean like really fucking solid, like like a good quality glaze that fits the clay perfectly. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean shiny.
Did you say you mean shiny?
I mean like
Why
glossy.
is that going to be less?
Because matte glazes have holes in them because they're not shiny.
Oh, they're like there's pores
There's pores in them. Yeah, and so for instance, the cup that she gave me as a like sample cup is a fucking ash glaze, and it's dull.
And that's what she was testing on, and she was like, "This is very foamy."
This is very foamy, and so yeah. So if you're making something for beer, that needs to be in consideration. That's why they use glass, because the glass is perfectly smooth. Now, I learned this too. Samuel Adams, if you look at a Samuel Adams cup, like the ones that they like sell for their beer, if you look in the bottom, and I have done this because my friend has one, there's an etched circle on the bottom. And the etched circle is there on purpose because it releases the CO2. And it basically provides a completely different experience. Like if you were to pour a Samuel Adams beer into a Samuel Adams cup versus like a regular cup that doesn't have any etching in it, it would taste differently. Like to somebody who
because it
cared.
would create more foam and it's got more head on the top.
Right, and like that tastes different. Like when the CO2 releases, it changes the whole taste.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I was like,
So like when they actually get like some breweries have Sam Adams glasses so that it's paired with it and they serve it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like apparently it's like it can change the taste wildly. like completely
Wow.
different. Like so, I kind of want to like take in a cup, like one of my cups, like with a matte glaze, and then take it and then have a glass and like take it into the brewery and be like, okay, pour me some in this one and pour me some in this one, and see if it like tastes different.
Huh.
So
That's
yeah,
very interesting.
it
Yeah.
really does matter uh what your cup, the glaze is. It really does matter, and that's why glass is ideal. But
Wow.
yeah,
Love it. Fun fact for
yeah.
the day.
Fun fact of the
That's
day.
amazing.
Yeah,
Okay. By the way, I've never done a brewery mug club. I would love to someday. I worry that I don't have the bandwidth to do something of that commitment with that many because of just the time and attention it takes
yeah,
to do that. But maybe someday I'll do it. I would love to. The most mugs I've made in one batch for that like Appalachian Festival was like 50.
yeah.
That was pretty reasonable.
You
But
could do it.
I mean, I could. It's just I don't know.
Yeah,
I've heard enough horror stories from people,
mostly
but
me.
luckily there's breweries local that I think I'm like the payday is really nice, right?
Yeah.
So if you can negotiate, it sounds like. And how do you do you typically negotiate based on the price of like how much are you going to sell the mug club for? Is it $100 for the year, and then you price it half of that, or do you just come up with a price that's reasonable for your mug?
Honestly, I don't even know anymore because I did it totally wrong when I used to do it. So,
Because it seems like it's a bulk order, so it's probably
yeah.
not retail cost, even though they're going to make back their money. But the money that they're charging for the mug club is not just to pay for the mug; it's to pay for the excess liquid you're getting throughout the year for the
Not
number of
really.
times you.
That excess liquid costs pennies on the dollar. I mean, I would say more you're getting loyalty as opposed to you're not paying for excess liquid, you're paying for loyalty at that point. Like if you buy a mug in a mug club, that means you're coming in more than you would if you didn't.
Yeah, I mean it's good. I would think they would buy it because they want to support them, but also
Yeah.
they get something in return of
Right.
the mug plus they're getting more for their money
Yeah.
when they're going to be coming in there anyways.
I would imagine that they probably cost like $100. Like $100 a year seems reasonable for a mug club. And so I think that the last one that I heard, she paid $30 a mug, which is really good.
Yeah, because I mean if you were to compare it to like a wholesale order,
Yeah.
the custom mugs you make for a shop and the shop sells them with their branding,
Yeah.
you would charge them a wholesale price. So it's kind of comparable to that, but $30 a mug sounds like that sounds higher than a wholesale price for that
Yeah.
mug, right?
And you
That's
should
like
be getting higher than a wholesale price because let me tell you, something will go wrong because they're cursed.
so it's like a maybe like a 25% discount price sort of
Maybe. Yeah.
something
That
or
sounds good.
30% something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, like, think of it this way, too. You're not making a 12-ounce mug.
Yeah, you're making a big motherfucker.
You're making a 20-ounce mug. Like, that's
Yeah.
not a small fucking mug.
Uh-huh. I
That's
would retail my 20-ounce mugs just standard glaze for $42 now. That's what I'm
Yeah.
retailing them for.
Like, that's not a small fucking mug, and, like, and it has things on top of it. And they all have to be the same size.
Yeah, it's customized.
And
yeah.
and they have to have numbers on the bottom. And they have to, like, there's a lot of things attached to it. It should come with a high price tag, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, that's Mug Club. We went very long on Mug Club, but Pot Club
Oh, yeah. Now to the
or
actual
subscription model.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that's done this?
I don't. I feel like...
I know one person that's done it. It was Amy from Trice Studios.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She did it, and it was if you don't know her work, it's very she does graphical carvings on the outside, and she was doing it as like seasons of the year because she's very nature focused and nature influenced, so she does a lot of mountain ranges and floral things. So it was custom glaze paired with a custom carving, and she was doing it seasonally, so it was a spring, fall, winter, summer sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if she got a full year into it, but she did it in that fashion, so it was seasonal. That's kind of how she broke it up quarterly.
Yeah. I've seen people do it like one a month.
That seems pretty ambitious, but I mean that'd be good. That'd be a good customer flow, I would think. Good cash flow.
Yeah, that would be very ambitious. You know what Merritt is doing? My friend Merritt's doing this really, really cool. Is instead of having like a subscription, she's just making like 20 mugs a month of a certain type of bird. So she has like every month is a different bird. And so I don't know how many she's making, but let's say 20. And then she's selling them at the end of the month, which is kind of cool. It's not a subscription, but it's still like this month is fucking Mockingjays, you know?
Right.
Or something. But I
That's a good
like,
way to build in some
I do
some
like
exclusivity.
the quarterly. I like the quarterly.
That seems
timeline.
reasonable.
Yeah.
And then you would also sell it limited spots, I would think. So it's maybe exclusive, so it drives people to buy it. I don't know how you deal with people potentially joining at different times of year. And then you have to deal with like people wrapping to the next year, and then you have certain people that finish at this time, and then they keep, or maybe that's where you decide to do the quarterly payments, but I'd almost rather pay up front.
I don't like the idea of doing quarterly payments. And the reason being because somebody could opt out. I think that if they're opting in, they should opt in all the way.
They opt in for all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
They paid up front, and then you're just waiting for your pots throughout the year.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like, I feel like you should look into wine clubs, because wine clubs are very similar. Like,
are they? What is that? Like, you get wines delivered to you every month or whatever?
I think it's once a quarter. And I want to say that I've never joined a wine club, but I think you still pay for the wine. You just get a significant discount. And then if you like go into the winery, you get free tastings and stuff like that. So what if you did this? What if you did a pot club?
Subscription club.
A pot guild. A pot subscription.
5-line subscription box.
A potscription.
Potscription.
A potscription.
That's like a prescription, but it's a potscription.
But it's a potscription. So what if you do a quarterly potscription, and it's a flat fee at the very beginning, $200 or whatever. Keeping in mind that you have to pay for shipping, so I think it should be $250. But and then with that potscription, you have a coupon code for 15% off everything that you buy.
Yeah, so it's available throughout the whole year of your subscription. It's like an exclusive code just for being a subscription member. Yeah.
Yeah, just for being a subscription member, you get a discount all the time for buying stuff. And
we're kind of getting into Patreon territory of like, how do you get people to sign up for these subscriptions, you know?
Right. No, you're correct. Because I was just thinking about that. I was like, basically, this is fucking subscription, Patreon. So, okay, let's say that's it. That's it, right? Like, with your potscription, you get 15% off everything all year, plus you get 4 mugs in that year. How do you pay? You pay through a one-time invoice of $250.
Mm-hmm.
And then your pot will be shipped out the first Friday of every quarter.
Yeah.
right? Or whatever.
First week of every quarter or something like that.
Yeah, the first week of every quarter. And all of those.
Do you set a specific limited number of spots so that you don't overwhelm yourself? Because, I mean, you could make that a business model of like, you're relying on that as just, maybe that's 40% of your income is just from this. You know, I don't know how many you could make for a big chunk of your income like that, but maybe you can do, 50 of these a year.
Right. I mean, like, basically, that's your. Yeah, like, if you did 50 subscriptions a year. Are you doing the math?
Mm-hmm. That's $10,000.
That's a pretty good chunk of change.
Could you make 50? I'm assuming it's mugs, so 50 mugs every quarter that are just for these customers.
And how do you make them so that those mugs feel special? That's my question. Like, how do you make them so that, like, they feel special for getting those mugs? You know?
Yeah,
like,
I'm going to go to the Pottery Masons Instagram now and see.
Like, are those mugs, like, quote-unquote fancy mugs? Is there something, like, particular about them that makes them more, like how you were saying, seasonal?
It seems like the glaze combo could be seasonal.
Yeah, like, is the glaze combo different? Is the, I don't know, do you have themes? Like, are they a specific size that makes them better? You know, like if you made...
Yeah, like what if you did... Your winter one is more... Maybe it's... What if it's a shape of mug? What if you're exploring shapes and you do more of like a wider... or like a bellied one, like a hot cocoa mug for the winter. And you do... Summer, you do maybe a tall, slender one for...
iced coffees.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe it's a little bigger. Or for like cold beer.
Yeah.
And then in the fall, maybe you do something that's more like a pumpkin, like a latte mug. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's like a wider open mug or
like something. A chili bowl mug, like a soup mug.
Yeah. And then you can pair the colors based on the seasons of like which colors evoke what kind of feeling of the season. Because I'm looking at her work, I don't see anything that's like graphically added. It's more combos and like layering, and it's speckled clay. What about different clay bodies? Like, could you find a clay body that would you do something like that?
That might be interesting.
Because that's something from my perspective, the work that goes into finding a different clay body and like trying it out for.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also opening yourself up to risk if you go that route of finding a good color combo that pairs well and looks good and works with the season. Or
it just like makes me question like what makes it for like a customer, what makes it desirable as a customer to get like 4 mugs. Like, why not just buy 4 mugs? You know, like, you have to like set it apart in some way that you're not gonna be giving this option to any other person, you know.
Yeah. And you wouldn't want to stray away from that of like, I made extras, here are the extras that you can buy. Or is it also like my retail prices of the mugs is higher than if you paid for a subscription? Is that
right? It's like, is it a discount?
So instead of $50 a mug, like maybe your mugs are normally $60 a mug. So they buy it up front at $50 a mug, and then over time you might raise your prices anyways, and they've already locked into that price.
I like that. Like, I like that angle where it's like, okay, hey, we'll give you $4 in this year at a guaranteed price of $50 a mug. Normally they're 60. Like that's or 70, 65. Like that's a good angle. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm always a fan of selling wholesale to regular customers. Like, I mean, you know this.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Because you're essentially like, if you get the volume of customers, then it's
who
just like you're doing
it's
wholesale,
just like
except
you're
you're
doing
shipping
wholesale.
out to a bunch of individuals, which
Yeah, like my
is kind of
mystery
like what Tim's.
boxes, I
You know.
consider wholesale. Like,
Yeah.
every one of my mystery boxes, like, when I price those out, I'm putting 3 pairs of earrings in. They're all, like, in my head, I've cut the price in half, you know?
Right.
So, um,
Do you give them extra little trinkets or something? Like, is that a surprise thing you add in there?
I
Do you?
definitely think you should add candy in subscription boxes, absolutely.
Okay.
Or little tiny resin ducks or something. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something you can customize, and it's kind of that shock surprise value. I don't need that. I don't think you necessarily need to spell all of that out up front to
yeah.
incentivize people.
You could
It just makes them
also
feel a little more special when they get it.
on the end of subscription is that, like, I have seen this too, because those subscription boxes have been like so popular in the past. I did see one of my past students actually did like a full on subscription box with like people in her community, and like would offer a mug, but then would offer like a an air plant and some tea or whatever. So it might be fun. It might be a fun way to uh, kind of like collaborate with another business owner. Like, let's say you know somebody that roasts coffee, or let's say you know somebody that makes tea, like does tea blends.
That's a great idea.
Like, could you offer a tea mug like tea mug subscription where every quarter they get a different tea, like a different bag of tea, so it like actually lasts a little while, and then a different mug. That would be
What
cool
if they
too.
don't? What if they don't drink tea?
Well, you have a coffee one and a tea one,
Okay.
or like like something like that. Like,
When you buy it, put your preference of coffee or tea.
right, or you could put none, and it'd be a little
None
bit
or
cheaper or whatever.
surprise me or something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, that's a really good collaboration idea with local companies.
Yeah, I love that.
I think that would make it more enticing to me. Like, I don't love tea, but if, like, I do like tea, but if you were like, hey, once a quarter you're gonna get a surprise tea flavor.
Teas are also seasonal too. Like,
Yeah.
you could definitely theme those depending on the season.
Yeah, you're gonna get like a surprise tea flavor and a mug. And then like in summer you get like oh my god, you get like an iced tea type flavor. Like,
Mm-hmm.
great for iced teas, sun teas. Hell yeah.
A peach black tea or something
Yeah,
like
I'd
that.
totally be down for that. Or even like, you don't even have to do tea. Like, what if you fucking like team up with a candy shop and they like send you fucking chocolates, or like, there's like, I feel like there's unlimited possibilities to add into this subscription.
Yeah, I'm sure there's already people that you know that you could probably partner with.
Yeah.
Um, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe there's somebody out there that you know that does bath bombs or something, or
Yeah.
candles or something that's like bringing that experience that pairs well with the act of drinking their coffee or tea in the morning or whatever.
Yeah. Like candles, you could like sell a mug and have them pour the candle in the mug, and you have to use the candle before you get the mug. Like, I don't know.
What about I was kind of thinking toward like Brooke that does the paintings and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, that subscription box would be more because of the paintings that she does. But if you do something that is very animal focused, or flowers and things, like, you could definitely make those seasonal.
Yeah, for sure.
And those could be super exclusive. Like, you just don't do those graphics for your regular customers and your regular line of work.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know
would
what's
you
like? Oh, go on.
would you still? Because you would. I'm thinking of the timing of when you would do it. Like, would you still have like cutoff dates and like, okay, I'm opening enrollment for the subscription boxes that are going to start going out this date. Purchase it between this time, and then we're going to close them. And then do you open them before every quarter, so you can always get new people in?
I don't know.
Because it seems like it would be nice to just kind of lock it down,
Yeah.
but you would. It seems like you wouldn't want to like close it off to people if they want to join halfway through the year.
What if you like locked it down until halfway through? Like only had like
Kept it open for the all of the first quarter or something.
so kept it like opened it up, closed it off, and then on third quarter opened it up. So it wasn't like every quarter you opened up, but just like twice a year.
Okay, and you're opening it up for them to pay for the entire year.
Yeah.
So it's only staggered like 2 quarters at a time.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you think a limit is reasonable? Is that a way to incentivize people, or is that just more sanity for yourself to keep you?
Yeah, I'd say that's more sanity for yourself. You have to have a cap for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, I can see where you can definitely spin your wheels if you got 30 people and then you've got to like you're doing your own stuff and then you're like, okay, well I got the subscription people I need to think about and like what's going to customize it. I feel like you already kind of have to have that in your mind when you're setting up the subscription and plan ahead way in advance so that when you get time to make, you're really focused on what you're making. You're not just experimenting on the fly.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, now I got to scale this to make 50 pieces of this in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
And then you're like, and then you got to like figure out the glaze. Is the glaze going to work out or is it going to screw it up? And then you got to remake stuff. So
yeah, I definitely think you'd have to make samples before like the whole thing. Like you'd have to make samples for every quarter by the time you started.
Do you think it's better to show people what they're going to get?
Yes.
For the whole thing? Or do you tease it like this is what we're doing for the first quarter? If you want to sign up for the subscription, sign up now and this is what you're going to get, plus you're going to get 3 more to be determined. Or do you make all 4 up front?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Like, I feel like both have their merits, you know? Like,
I feel like it's a lot to expect to make all 4.
I know.
Plus your skills are going to change over the year, right?
That's
like
true.
You're going to get... I feel like it's a good selling point to show the first one.
Yeah.
You've been experimenting. This is what you're doing for the first one. If you want to join this subscription, here's how much it is. You're going to get a discount. You're going to get this mug this first week of the quarter. Sign up now. Sign-ups close at this point. If you don't sign up now, you can't sign up again until Q3.
Yes.
And then once people have signed up, I'm not making these mugs anymore.
Yeah.
They're only going to subscribers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You were thinking of something over there. What were you thinking?
No, I've just been thinking about, like, if I was to do that with jewelry, what would it look like, you know? Like...
Yeah, because jewelry is a little more custom, right? For taste.
A little bit, but I was just thinking, like, more, not necessarily just jewelry, but, like, smaller things. You know, what I was thinking was, if you wanted to make a subscription box that is, like, money in the bank, do a fucking fairy box every quarter so that people can, like, put little, and do, like,
little
tiny...
fairy garden?
Yes, like, fairy garden subscription box, like, put little mushrooms and little gnomes in their little fairy gardens.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a fucking killer. That would sell like crazy. And then you only have to make little trinkets.
What if would there be something that you could think of that would be something you could ship out first class that would be like so affordable, like $60 for the year that you could manage? Because you'd probably be paying up to upwards of $5 for shipping. But is there something that would
Yeah,
just
you pay like $4 for first class.
yeah
I don't know. I
or
mean, like,
$75 maybe? Maybe $75 would be more reasonable.
what
Because
if you did mini,
like
like
mini pots.
no mini ornaments, like little tiny ornaments, like little figurines that you could convert into ornaments, but aren't, you know,
Uh-huh.
that have like the hook just in case, but like little tiny figurines, like a zoo, like
Oh,
a.
okay. I was thinking of the woman who makes like little cats or the little nuggets.
Oh yes, little nuggets. Oh my god, I need to talk to her. That would be such a good
The
idea.
subscription box of the little nuggets. Like you can have 4 nuggets for the year. You'd be like, what nugget am I gonna get? You know?
I would die. And by the way, if you guys aren't following, it's Wild Rainbow. What is it? Wild Rainbow.
Oh man. It's Wild Rainbow Co.
Yeah, Wild Rainbow Co. If you are not following her,
Deb.
you need to. She has the funniest fucking little videos. And she makes these little nuggets. I have one. I named her Lola. And they are so goddamn cute. And they're just so flippin' adorable.
Like little kitty cats or something. Like you have a little kitty cat box or you have a little dog box or whatever.
Yeah, like, could you imagine? Because there's
You
like
just
so many people that just have like little tiny knick-knack collections, you know?
yeah.
Um,
And it doesn't have to be like everything you make, but if it's cool enough and it's like, hey, I'll pay $60 or $75 for this little cat mystery box for the year, and
oh,
I'll get 4 cats for the year. Like,
you know, it'd be
I
fun
forget that I even ordered it.
because like people love mushrooms and like having a different variety of mushrooms every like that you could put in your garden, you know?
Yeah, we have some of those.
Yeah, like you have big ones, but if you had like little ones that you could just like, you know, it came with like 3 little mushrooms that you could put in your little planters.
Yeah, that'd be great. Or you could or you could keep them indoors and put them in the little indoor succulent planters or
Yeah.
whatever you have indoors. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. And you could like customize something on it. Not
Yeah.
well, you could like change it every year or whatever, every quarter. I was thinking like I'm sure like moonshine pottery. Do you know what I'm talking about? Moonshine ceramics. Like she could make little mini gnomes or something.
Yeah.
Because the shipping cost is like, if you can get that down below a pound, and you're just shipping out a bunch of boxes, like that's going to make the price more affordable.
You can ship a 4x4 box for $4 if it's under a pound. You can ship a fucking 6x6 box if it's under a pound for $4.
Yeah.
But pro tip, 4x4s fit in the mailbox slots, the ones that you like pull down that are like randomly placed.
Oh, they
around
do?
the city. Yeah, I just put one in yesterday.
Okay.
So you don't have to go to the post office if you do that, but yeah, it would be cool, and it would be especially fun like if you made little. Have you seen those tiny little plant stakes? They're like the itty bitty ones that say like funny sayings on them.
No.
Oh, you put them in your house plants, and they're like just really tiny.
It says like keep off the grass or something.
Yeah,
or...
yeah, and like wet my plants and stuff like that, like little funny sayings.
Yeah.
It would be funny to have a few of those and like do a plant themed.
I think that's like fairy gardens and stuff too. I think Taylor makes some of those. Right?
Dude, the fairy gardens are what's up. People. Val told me that she just made some mushrooms just for like fucking shooting the shit because she had some extra clay. And she was like, they sold faster than anything else I ever had sold. She was like, I did it in like 2 seconds. And I was like, yeah, mushrooms are in, man.
And the little bitty like pumpkins.
Oh, shut up. If you did
Karina makes
pumpkins,
those pumpkins over at Isaac's, and
ugh, Karina's little tiny pumpkins are so goddamn cute. Oh god, the possibilities really truly. Like,
so how would you do it for like an earring thing? How would you think through making that special, and then how would you offer it to customers for options? And
hmm. I think that I would probably I would like want to do earrings that I don't like normally sell, you know?
normally sell because they're, oh, you just don't make them, they're just
Yeah.
not in your typical line of, okay.
Yeah. Or like maybe a little fancier type earrings, but I do feel like it would be a little bit difficult. You know, I would
Like would
almost
you,
rather like shoot for like a mystery box subscription than uh like so it I mean which is kind of the same thing, but that like leaves it open where you like you say like, "Oh, I'll put like 3 pairs in every quarter and send it off." And
three
then
pairs, and then do they get to give a preference of studs, dangles, hoops?
I think you'd probably have to be like like are you small danglies or large danglies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that what I would want to do is like do certain colors for every time. So like you know, in January you got like light blues, like
Mm-hmm.
whites, you know, like very like snow, like purples, you know, and then in April you would get like is April the next one? May?
Yeah,
April.
April.
Yeah, April you would get like Easter colors, so you're getting like, you know, light orange, yellow, pink,
Maybe green, light
teal.
green or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
like and then, you know, then
July is the
fall
next one.
colors and then like
You have July, and then you'd have October.
yeah, so October would be fall colors and July would be like bright orange, red, uh like super bright blues, like
Mm-hmm.
bold colors, you know.
Would that be a lot? Like, so at the end of the year, they would get 12 pair?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what price would you give for that?
Um there's a bug on my screen.
Would
Um
200 be doable? Or is that still too high for.
50 it would be $50 a yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. $50 for 3 pair.
Yeah, and I'd probably add in a pair of studs, so it'd probably be 3 pairs of earrings and a pair of studs.
Okay. And then the good thing about it, if you're getting those, if you don't like them, you could always gift them to somebody.
Yeah. That's the best thing about earrings is that like if you're a woman, you probably know somebody that wears earrings, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a man, you probably know somebody that wears earrings. Like,
And then if it's timed right, maybe it comes before Mother's Day, or it comes,
right.
at a time that's relatively
Yeah.
conducive to gift giving if you were
Yeah.
so inclined.
Maybe I need to do that.
Maybe we just talked ourselves into doing something like that. I mean, I would definitely do it in the future at some point. I think the logistical thing in the like mind space of just remembering it and not forgetting about it, and like prioritizing that
Yeah.
I got to do this constantly and not wait till the last minute
Yeah.
makes it tougher. But that's part of the work that you have to do to make it special for those people. So
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that I'd probably do like one pair that's just like, where did this come from? You know, like this is not part of the normal, and then I'd probably do 2 that are just like normal.
mm-hmm.
Maybe like one crazy pair and then one tiny dangle and one medium dangle. You know.
Yeah. And I think that you definitely advertise it, like show people that you're doing it,
Yeah.
as you're making them, so that you build that anticipation, whether it's during the open window when people can pay for it,
Yeah.
and then tease it out as you're getting the next subscription box out, and then you're like, okay, well, the slots will open again in Q3 these
Yeah.
dates. Maybe you let people sign up for a wait list in the meantime, like, okay, you can't join now, but you could join my email list, and then you'll find out when I open slots again, and then sign up. That way you get their
Yeah.
info up front while they can't pay for it, and like hold it back. Like, don't let them sign up any time of the year, because I think that's just going to give you more headache and keeping track of.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. Is like, if you opened it up all the time, it just seems like it would be a pain in the butt. It'd be a lot easier to just be like, we are open for 2 days. This is when you can sign up.
2 days? I was thinking like a week.
Or whatever. Whatever. Yeah. It's kind of like NPR when they do their fucking fundraiser events. Mm-hmm. Where they just like fucking beat it into you.
Right. Yeah, I feel like 2 days is a little quick. Like, somebody could be off social media for a week or something, sure, and they completely miss it. But
for sure. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like 2 to a week or whatever. A week.
Market it way before, and then say, okay, the slots are going to open at this time. Here's what you get with your, like, set up a good amount of information so that people know what they're signing up for.
Yeah.
And then they feel confident about paying. And then, I don't know. Do you foresee any, like, what kind of issues would you foresee coming up? People don't like their things and they want their money back, or,
yep.
What kind of policies do you have in place for that?
Right.
Or they're like, I think that's where you don't do the quarterly payments, because then somebody can't pay it.
Right. Then they could back out, and that's like.
And then you're in a weird spot of like, oh, I gotta like change my numbers every quarter because people are going in and out.
Right. Yeah, like I definitely think you have to do one solid payment, and they're locked.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the fun thing about that is that by the time October rolls around, if they've forgotten, they get like a fun little package in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, shit, there's orders that we got the thing from Mitchell, Spain recently, and I'm like, I don't even remember ordering that. I think Rachel ordered it. I don't know when she did. I think it was a pre-order, but I think it took like 4 or 5 months or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's
and you
fun
completely
to
forget about it. Money's been spent, and then it shows up, and you're like, oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah. I was reading an article about this, and like I think it was in Ceramics Monthly or something like that, whenever, like, the one time I read Ceramics Monthly, but like, and it was talking about these type of things, like the subscription things, and sometimes it just seems like a headache. Like, I did the math. So let's say I did a jewelry subscription and like box, and I had 100 people.
That's a lot.
I know, that's my point. I did 100 people, it would be $20,000.
Seems like a lot of work for $20,000.
That seems like a lot of work for $20,000. Like, 100 people, that's 300 pairs that you're shipping out potentially in a week, Like...
Yeah, I was thinking more like cap it at 50.
Right, I know, but like...
Okay.
I understand that, but like when you put the money next to the amount, like the amount of people next to the money, it kind of like puts it more into perspective, because 50 people for $10,000, that seems... Yeah.
What if you just broke it down by quarter and you thought about it mathematically per quarter, and think about how much time you're investing to make those? So 300 pair in a 4-week cycle, maybe?
Yeah.
3-week cycle? Is that worth, what would you say, 20,000 divided by 4? $5,000? Is that worth $5,000 to you in that 3 weeks of work? That seems more enticing than 20,000, right?
Right. But what's cool about the 20,000 is that it's up front at the beginning of the year, right? Which is the worst time of the year. It's like,
That's true. That would carry that. I mean, that's a good way to do it if you're
yeah.
carry you through those slow months of the year.
And I'm not saying I would get 100 people on this subscription thing. I'm just saying, like, when you put it next to the dollar amount, 100 people next to the dollar amount, sometimes it's like, meh. So, like, if you had 150 people, it'd be $30,000. That seems like way too many people and, like, not reasonable. You know?
I mean, maybe if you had somebody else shipping them out for you.
Yeah, maybe if you had somebody, like, helping you.
Yeah, maybe you pay. Maybe it's worth for you to pay somebody to help you ship it out every quarter.
Right, but then you think about it and you're like, well, how many pairs of earrings did I sell last week? Like, at this show, right? I think I sold, like, I don't even know. Sales, June 10th. I had 32 sales, so...
But I kind of see it as... I keep wanting to say the word passive, but it's not passive because you're working for it. But you're working off something that's guaranteed. Like, you've already been paid for the work. So it's like guaranteed work that you are focused on. Unless you're worried that dedicating yourself to this thing you've already promised to people is going to lessen your opportunities to take on other things on your plate. Like, maybe you can't do a show because you have these subscriptions. You have to do 3 less shows in the year because you have these subscription boxes. And what's the potential sales that you could get at those? Does it offset? Like, I don't know, 20,000 sounds like a lot.
It does sound like a lot. And, like, you know, I sold like 20 pairs of earrings this weekend. And I got like $1,800. Plus, I mean, I sold other things too. But, like, that was probably $1,000 worth of earrings. You know?
Yeah.
And when you put 18 pairs of earrings next to $1,000 as opposed to, I don't know, like a lot more pairs of earrings next to $1,000.
But is it better to compare it with like a wholesale client?
Well, yeah, of course it is. Like, it's guaranteed money, you know?
Because it's kind of a wholesale price.
Yeah.
And, you know, could you imagine selling to a wholesaler even $10,000 worth of product every year?
No. But also you have to think about it.
I mean, you are doing the work to... What was that?
That was a firecracker. Freaked the shit out of me, though. You do have to think about it, too. Like, when you're doing a wholesaler, you're not necessarily, like, packaging everything up individually. You know, like, you're not...
It's kind of like what Tim said. Shipping it off to a gallery or one person.
Right. You're sending it off to one person instead of sending it off to 50 people. So, you do have to think about that.
Mm-hmm. But you'd have a week to ship. Maybe you don't promise it a day that you ship it out, but maybe you promise it over a week. Is that reasonable to ship out 50 pieces in a week?
Oh, for sure. But yeah, it is. But
50 boxes in a week?
But you're, like, paying for that postage.
But you've already been paid, right?
I know, but you're still, like, paying that postage, which, like, if you were going to ship out a wholesale order, you'd be paying $15.
Way less, yeah.
For postage as opposed to $5 times 50. $250.
Mm-hmm. So 50 times, yeah, you said $5. $250, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. So 250 times 4 is 1,000. So if you're doing $10,000 worth of $10,000 worth of product, you're actually only making $9,000 because 1,000 of that's going to be shipping.
Yeah.
Definitely factor that in.
Mm-hmm.
Because you wouldn't want to ask them for shipping when you send it out. Like, you don't want to be invoicing people to be like, oh, you already paid this thing, but you need to pay for shipping too. Like, you'd add that to the cost. You know what I would
do, though? I would figure out how to send them some sort of free, I don't know how, but, like, some sort of, like, like item though, so that they could import the sales, so that you didn't have to like type in all those addresses again, and
What do you? Oh,
like in
um,
Shippo.
yeah. I mean, they'd purchase it off your website though, right? So they'd purchase it with their info, and then you would go to that order and make a listing or something. But can you do that on the same order?
Yeah, you'd have to like go back.
Can you make a label on the same order?
It would be logistically a nightmare, for sure.
Yeah, balancing the customers would be kind of a nightmare. I don't know. Can you like segment people into groups in Shippo or one of those services to
I don't
say like
know.
these people are part of this group and I want to create 50 labels at once for these people and
You
they
know what?
all are this weight and it like auto calculates the
I don't know if that's even a thing.
I mean that
Anyway.
would be great if it's a standard size package and
Well, I mean, you can do that. That you can do, but I don't know if you can like add in a profile, Like,
mhm, so that you don't you could probably duplicate labels though, right? So you could say like this shipping preference or this like preset item and I want to create a label off this preset item. And
yeah.
then like you could probably have a customer list in there. Pick a customer and then like ideally you'd want to batch that so you're not like pick a customer, buy the label,
Yeah.
preset, pick a customer, buy the label. Like
Ugh. Logistically, it just sounds like an awful, awful situation.
what if it was more like 20 people?
That sounds better.
20 times 200. $4,000. I mean, I think it's very ambitious to expect 50 people to spend $200. That like
Yeah.
the number of times I've even had orders of $200 or more, I can probably count on two hands.
Yeah.
But uh, if you can position it the right way, I think you can get people in there. But I almost think you need to be reasonable with what you're promising so that you're not like giving yourself so much of a headache that you're gonna get these little trinkets with it as well. But if you do those other incentives that are very like easy to do, they cost you nothing, like giving them a coupon code.
Mm-hmm.
That's a I mean, if they tend to spend money with you anyways, getting the coupon code be could be easy enough
Yeah.
to get them to pay for the $200 because they know they're going to save an extra $70 on the year of whatever they buy or way more than that, if they use that coupon code every time.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. This conversation went very differently than I thought it was going to go. Like,
Yeah.
not in a bad way, not in a good way either. I mean, I just didn't know how it was going to kind of like, how we were going to progress through it.
Yeah.
Very thought provoking.
Yeah, I think it's definitely I mean, as a as somebody that's finding customers and wanting to get that consistency, like I think you do it does make you feel, at least to me, it would make me feel more fulfilled and more productive if
Mm-hmm.
I have this ongoing expectation from a customer
Yeah.
standpoint of like they've already paid for this thing or I know that these things are already going to be sold by the time I get them done
Yeah.
and I don't have to worry about that second half of it of marketing it and selling it. I just need to ship it out.
Yeah. See,
And
that to me sounds awful. Like that's the difference between us. That's like doing the Patreon was really, really hard for me because there was like an expectation
mhm.
laid out, and I wasn't like. At some point, I was like, I'm all out. I'm all out of things.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the way your lifestyle is, the way you
Yeah.
change and you ebb and flow,
Yeah.
for you to commit to a year of 50 people sounds pretty ambitious, in my opinion.
Or idiotic.
Like, is
Yes.
Becca gonna commit to this and like keep it up, or is she gonna take the money and then you're gonna have to refund people because you only did it for a couple months, or like,
Yeah.
people like Amy did it from Trist Studios, and she moved to Portland. I think in the middle, like from Cincinnati to Portland, so
Mm-hmm.
she had to like, you know, suspend it for a period of time. People already paid for it. And then when she got there, she's like trying to set up a studio, get her home going, like get adjusted. She's got kids. Like, life can happen, and you've already got these things and these expectations on the hook. Like, how do you
Yeah.
adjust to that and plan for that? And then you've got ambitions to do shows and stuff. Like, you got to prioritize. Like, do
Yeah.
I take nothing to a show, or do I take a very small portion to a show, or do I drop out of the show because I need to do this other thing that I've committed to already?
Yeah.
Kind of like, can you commit to wholesale orders or not, because that inventory is going to take time to make, and do you have that time to commit to one thing or the other thing? So
Right. Wild.
all right.
I feel like we need to end there because there's
Yeah.
a lot to unpack.
Yeah, I let Audrey know. I messaged her during this and was like, "Hey, by the way, we're answering your question on the podcast tonight." So, yeah, we'll see what she says. I'm sure it's late wherever she's at, but yeah, very good. I like the mug club discussion too. Like, I don't know. The more I talk about these things, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little more comfortable, but also planning for it and just ideas, throwing out ideas, like, helps me feel more confident about, if I were to do this, I can get in the headspace of what's involved and what I'll get out of it, like price wise.
I should
I wouldn't
mention,
even thought of the shipping until I just did the math on it, and I was like, oh shit, that's a big
Yeah.
chunk.
I should mention also that Josh Heim does a mug club for Books and Brews, and I don't know if I was allowed to say that or not, honestly.
He advertises it on his Instagram. He says Books and Brews.
And he hand builds the mugs, which means that they're the exact same size every single time, and which I think is genius. And he like makes a stamp for it every single time that's like a different philosopher or whatever. And
Author. It's a different author.
It's
I thought,
a different
right?
author. That's right.
I was like,
Bruce.
philosopher.
I can't remember, but yeah, I really like his system because like
Yeah.
he's not making a badge; he's stamping onto a slab and then making that slab into a cup.
And then it's just a custom glaze, right?
Yeah.
It's just a glaze that's different from the last month. So it's the stamp is different, and then the glaze is different.
Yeah.
And I think he makes them like 150 at a time when he does it.
Yeah, and like he can. What's great about it is that he can have somebody come in and do them too, like handle them or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or make the actual mug because it's
Yeah,
hand
that's
built.
true.
So it's not like, we're not like.
I mean, there is a
putting
process
rockets in
that
the
goes
air
into
here.
that. Like, yeah.
But I mean, like you can teach hand building a lot faster than you can teach throwing.
Yeah, that's true. Or you can get assistance along the way that can,
Yeah.
Sort of assembly line it a little bit more, or prep some clay for you or whatever.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, there are periods that he's like, the whole week is like hundreds of mugs going on. But I mean, there's a consistent business going on that keeps that going, and it is nice to have that partnership with a company.
Yeah. He's done a few mug clubs, and I've helped him with a few of them. Well, one for sure. Like the last time I was there, I badged like a shit ton of cups.
Mhm.
like, because apparently my life is just putting on badges. Like
Badges and throwing mugs for Isaac, and then he handles all day. It's like, what?
Yeah, I didn't mind doing the badges though. I mean, like when the only thing you have to do is badges, it's like, meh. There's a system there. It's whatever.
I kind of like doing the stamping part with the like cornstarch and like making sure it looks really
Yeah.
crisp, and like, I do like that. It's kind of satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't know about the attaching to the mug and stuff, if that's satisfying, but
It's not that satisfying, but it is systematic, so.
yeah. Okay. All right. Good luck, Audrey. Thanks so much for the review. Thanks for the questions. You always send us questions. We appreciate them.
You're wonderful.
And very thought-provoking discussion today. I really liked it.
I did too. I'm pleasantly surprised. Today was great.
Yeah, and that was actually like the length of a regular discussion, I feel like, on that topic. I don't know.
I might be going out on a limb here, but I feel like this might be the best podcast we've had in quite some time.
You mean just us? Is that what you mean?
Yes, I mean just us.
This is one where we pick a question before, and it just, the pieces fall into place.
Yes.
It feels like we planned ahead for it, but we didn't really.
Yeah. We just had some expertise on this one that we didn't know was there.
Yeah.
So, cool. Well, it is 12:45, so we should sleep.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Yo, higgity, yo. It's Becca here. Hey, just so you know, thank you for listening. And also, we have... What do we have again? A Patreon. We have a Patreon that you should go, and if you want to donate to, you could donate to it. If you don't, that's cool too. But just Google Wheel Talk Podcast Patreon. Don't do the other one, because there is a Wheel Talk on Patreon, but it's not us. So make sure you get the right one. It's in the show notes. And also, leave us a review because they're fun to read. Okay, bye!